Elijah. And we want to say hi to all of our members, those who have taken the time to become members of Speak the Truth 2.0, those who support us. And don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we have almost, I think, like 31,000 plus whatever subscribers, but we weren't telling people to hit the notification bell. So when we come on or when we upload, that you will be notified. So I am excited about this news briefing coming from the press secretary. I can't wait to listen to what she has to say. I know she's probably going to reiterate some of the conversations and some of the questions that President Trump had taken from the media when he did his cabinet meeting. That was like an hour long worth of questions, but I don't know. We're America first. And I believe in order to be America first, we have to be one nation under God. So, anyway, you guys, can't wait to get started. He is going to go live shortly. But meanwhile, I believe they're going to cover what's going on in the District of Columbia. Maybe they might talk about Mayor Bowser. She was saying that black people were being targeted, and now she's sort of like on the Trump train. So I don't know. I'm not hearing from the NAACP, Congressional Black Caucus. I'm not hearing the viewpoints of, I guess, the Democrats that live in that district, the District of Columbia. But then you have different governors and mayors that are speaking out in other blue states, and they're saying, well, Trump wants to send National Guards to our cities that have black crime, if you want to label it. That's what's highlighted on the media. But he's saying that 13 of the red states have a higher crime rate than Chicago. Where are the National Guards for those states? See, the media has done a great job highlighting like black people are a threat to America when black people aren't a threat to America. We are Americans. We are proud to be Americans. We just want to be treated fairly. We bleed the same way. We love the same way. God, we are all children of God. There's nothing different about us except for different pigmentations. Indians, they're dark complected. You have the Native Americans, they're brown. The Hispanics, a lot of them are brown. You have Jews, Italians, Irish. We have people of all different ethnicities here in the United States. It's like the melting pot of the world. You have all different types of people, but we're under the umbrella of being Americans. And I didn't like seeing the sort of detour, sort of like getting away from the real issues, like the open borders, that we have 350 terrorists that's running around that haven't been captured. We have, hey, you guys.
Miss Whiskey.
Hi. And we have 350,000 missing children. We have Trinidad Raga running around. We have over 15 million convicted rapists. ISIS. We have over 11 million convicted murderers. That Trump said they have maybe murdered more than one people, in their said countries that have come here and have murdered people as well. And it's like, I feel like we're taking our eyes off the national, the Chinese nationalists and all these people that are running around our country. And I don't know. I'm not feeling that because I don't think that we're finished doing what we need to be done in the country for America to be safe. And it's not Black Americans. We've been here for over 4. It's not us. It's not us. We're not the terrorists. We're not the threats. We have not done harm to other nationalities. We haven't, been in government, in leadership, and making laws against any ethnic group. That's not us. What we have endured is slavery. What we have made it through is injustices, and that's why we had the Civil Rights Bill that the Republicans pushed. It was the Republicans that pushed that. It was the Democrats that did a 70-day filibuster. I didn't know that prior to Trump.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln was like the first Republican. I thought it was I thought the Democrats was always for the working class and America first, but it wasn't. And I was surprised to find out that's why history is so important. That's why even the Smithsonian, we don't need to change history. We're not ashamed of it. But you don't want history to repeat itself. We need to know history. And Black people do not walk around talking about slavery. The subject is coming up because of it being to the forefront. Has become an issue by the president wanting to go into the Smithsonian and remove things that he thinks that sheds a bad light on ancestors, not the people now, but on ancestors. But the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. And we don't have a problem with it because, first of all, we're not beholden to man. We're beholden to God. We put God first. I'm not beholden to red or blue. I'm beholden to what's right. And that's it. That's what I'm beholden to. But I believe that in order for us to be America strong and one nation under God, we have to be in this together because we got bigger threats. The black people are not the threat. No matter what's going on, we got terrorists, we got Trinidad Raga, MS-13, we got all this going on, and we're still labeled like the problem and the criminals. And like, that's not right.
Isn't it crazy?
It's not right, huh?
Isn't it crazy how they can give
what
terrorist organizations money but still can't give black people reparations?
Yeah, well, they don't mind giving it to, the Taliban was getting $40 million per week under the Biden administration. 40 million cash payment per week. They did that for over 3 years. I don't know, 4 years if it's still going on. Why are we giving cash payment to the Taliban? That cash can't be traced. And see, when you start not listening to mainstream media and you start finding out what's going on, then you start having a different perspective. And that's why I didn't vote for the Democratic Party in this election. They were not fit for office. They still don't have a leader. I can't follow a fool. The majority of the things that President Trump has implemented have been great. But that doesn't mean he's right about everything.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I'm not going to agree with anyone 100%. No one does. And when I see things I don't agree with, then I'm going to call it out. Here go Karoline.
Good afternoon. Good to see all of you. I want to begin today's briefing by addressing the horrific shooting that took place yesterday at the Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where a deranged shooter opened fire during morning mass, killing an innocent 8-year-old and 10-year-old. 14 other children and 3 adults were also injured during this horrible tragedy. This was the first morning mass of the school year for these beautiful, innocent children, and this sacred religious service was desecrated by an evil monster. We are all eternally grateful to the heroic law enforcement officers and first responders whose courage and swift response aided all of those impacted by this horrible tragedy. As Director Kash Patel confirmed yesterday, the FBI is currently investigating this shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics. President Trump signed a proclamation yesterday following his call with the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, acknowledging the victims and their families and directing flags to be flown at half-mast. President Trump and the First Lady encouraged the entire nation to join all of us in praying for the victims and their families as they face unimaginable grief and loss. The White House and the FBI will continue to provide further updates as they become available. I also have a quick scheduling announcement for you today. The President will travel to New York City on September 22nd to address the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday, September 23rd. On another matter, as Americans make their Labor Day weekend travel plans, they will be able to enjoy 5-year low gas prices thanks to President Trump fully unleashing American energy dominance. President Trump ended Joe Biden's Green New Scam policies and is delivering on his promise to make America affordable again. These savings at the pump are giving everyday American families more room in their budgets at the end of each month, which is the exact opposite of what we saw under the previous administration. And as we commemorate Labor Day this year, we finally have a president who fights and delivers for the American worker every single day. President Trump believes that American workers are the heart and soul of our economy and our national identity, which is why he's championed an agenda that puts them first always. For decades, the hardworking men and women of our country who built the greatest nation in world history were sold out by selfish, greedy, short-sighted globalists who put our country on a path to economic and cultural ruin. They hollowed out our factories and towns and betrayed the American working class by shipping jobs overseas and importing millions of low-wage migrants to replace American workers. Under President Trump, this national disgrace is over. American workers are, once again, being put at the center of national trade policy, and the dignity of American labor is being defended. As a result, President Trump has already brought in nearly $10 trillion in new private and foreign investments so that the top businesses in the world can create high-paying jobs in America and hire American workers to fill them. In fact, since President Trump took office, the economy has added more than 500,000 new jobs to the workforce. In a stark reversal from the Biden administration, all of that job creation has been driven by private sector growth, and all employment gains have gone to native-born Americans. Wages for blue-collar workers are now rising at the fastest rate in the past 60 years. And the average American worker has already seen a $500 wage increase this year alone. Thanks to the largest middle tax cuts ever signed into law by President Trump, with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, Americans in all 50 states will keep more of their hard-earned money. The average American taxpayer will see a tax cut of nearly $4,000 because of these pro-growth provisions, according to analysis from the Nonpartisan Tax Foundation. In other news, President Trump continues to deliver on his promise to restore law and order to our nation's capital. Since President Trump's intervention, there have been more than 1,283 arrests right here in the District of Columbia. Total crime in D.C. is down 19%, and violent crime is down 30%. Carjackings in the district are down 67%. Homicides are down 57%. Robberies are down 40%. Motor vehicle thefts are down 32%. And assaults with dangerous weapons are down 23%. And property crime is down 18%. These numbers prove the president's bold actions to make D.C. safe and beautiful again are working, just like he said they would. And that's why on Monday, the president took additional action to sign an executive order taking steps to ensure that cashless bail in Washington, D.C. is eliminated. For too long, D.C.'s reckless cashless bail policies have allowed dangerous criminals to be quickly released, which endangers everyone who lives in and visits our wonderful capital. No cash bail has also foolishly forced law enforcement to repeatedly arrest the same offenders over and over again, only for them to be released back into our nation's capital. This is the definition of insanity, and the president is seeking to end it. He also signed a separate executive order addressing the crime emergency in D.C. by instructing the National Park Service to hire additional United States Park Police officers to support public safety, and directing the U.S. Attorney's Office for D.C. to hire additional prosecutors to focus solely on violent and property crimes. So while liberal Democrats across the country continue to double down on their failed soft-on-crime approach, the American people, including local D.C. leadership, business owners, and residents, are rallying behind President Trump's crime crackdown. According to new polling, 81% of Americans say crime is a major problem in large cities across the country. And a clear majority of Americans believe the president's actions are justified and necessary to reduce crime in these cities. Indu Bhatia, who runs a liquor store a half mile from the White House here just down the street, is one of those Americans who are grateful for President Trump's public safety push. Indu recently told the New York Post that her store was robbed so many times that they had to spend exorbitant sums of money on security, jeopardizing her family's financial future. But thanks to President Trump's strong action, Indu said, quote, "All of my employees, including me, we feel much safer, and even our customers feel really happy when they walk into our store." And just yesterday, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser credited President Trump for surging federal law enforcement personnel and said neighborhoods, quote, "feel and are much safer." We thank Mayor Bowser for her cooperation and her willingness to help us make D.C. safe and beautiful. This entire effort has vindicated what President Trump and law and order advocates have been saying for years, and this is our message to Americans in Democrat-run cities nationwide. Decline is a choice. You don't have to live in constant fear of being robbed, raped, or murdered. Your leaders are lying to you, and they have been failing you for decades. The President Trump approach of upholding law and order by letting our brave men and women in blue actually do their jobs to aggressively fight crime works. In just a few weeks, President Trump has done more for DC residents than Democrats did in 50 years. And this can be replicated in other crime-ridden cities across the nation. As President Trump has said, all of these elected officials in charge have to do is pick up the phone and ask for the president and the federal government's help. President Trump doesn't care if they are a Republican or a Democrat leader. He wants Americans to be safe and for every law-abiding American citizen across the country to be able to thrive in their city and in their community. With that, I'll take questions. Here in our new media seat today, we have social media influencer, content creator, Brandon Tatum. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you kick us off?
Well, Caroline, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And on behalf of everybody that follow me, the millions of people that follow me, I want to say thank you for making the sacrifice and dealing with some of the most disingenuous people on planet Earth at times. I have two questions. The first question is associated with the shooting that occurred the other day. And I want to ask the question of, we know that it's not a gun thing. Any rational person knows it's not a gun thing. We know it's a mental health issue. So I want to know from you, what's President Trump and the White House going to do to address mental health issues around the country associated with these shootings? And the second thing is Chicago. You know, anybody with, and I say, with a connected brainstem knows that Chicago's crime is out of control. And young black men are getting killed, laying dead in the middle of the streets every single day in Chicago. No president has addressed any of these issues. And so what is the White House going to do to address issues in their capacity to deal with the conflict and violence in Chicago?
Sure. Well, to your first question about this shooting in Minnesota, right now, the administration is focused on helping the people of Minnesota. It's been less than a day, of course, since this tragedy happened. We have federal law enforcement on the ground assisting local law enforcement. This investigation is ongoing. There's still a lot of facts to understand about these circumstances. And so we're going to continue to do that. As for Chicago and cracking down on crime, it is a priority of this administration to ensure that American cities are safe again. And I'm so glad that you brought up the crime in Chicago, because we've been seeing the governor of Illinois parading out there saying that there's nothing wrong with Chicago. It's a great place to live. There's no crime there. He doesn't need President Trump's help. Well, I think the residents of Chicago beg to differ, and the statistics beg to differ. And I'll just share a few of those statistics with all of you. For 13 consecutive years, Chicago has had the most murders of any U.S. city. This is J.B. Pritzker's legacy, by the way. For 7 consecutive years, Chicago has had the highest murder rate among U.S. cities with more than 1 million people. In 2024, just last year, Chicago's murder rate per capita was 3 times higher than Los Angeles and nearly 5 times higher than New York City. That's more than double the murder rate in Islamabad and nearly 15 times more than Delhi. Out of Chicago's 147,899 reported crimes this year, that's how many crimes have been reported in Chicago since January 1st. There have only been arrests in 16% of them. These numbers are unacceptable. There have been more illegal guns recovered in Chicago than in New York City and Los Angeles combined. The number of reported motor vehicle thefts last year was more than double the number in 2021. And Chicago has also, just like DC, come under scrutiny over discrepancies in its homicide data reporting. So as bad as these numbers are, perhaps they are even worse. And this is Governor Pritzker's legacy. He should put politics aside. He should pick up the phone and call this president, who would be more than happy to do right by law-abiding American residents in the city of Chicago, and we hope that he will. Gabe, and thanks for being here, Brandon. Gabe.
Caroline, thank you so much. First on the firing of the CDC director, first,
Sure.
who will replace her? And then also, overnight the White House said that she did not align with the president's agenda. Dr. Menard's attorney say that she refused to rubber stamp unscientific reckless directives and fired dedicated health experts. What specifically did she do wrong?
Look, what I will say about this individual is that her lawyer's statement made it abundantly clear themselves that she was not aligned with the president's mission to make America healthy again. And the secretary asked her to resign. She said she would, and then she said she wouldn't, so the president fired her, which he has every right to do. It was President Trump who was overwhelmingly reelected on November 5th. This woman has never received a vote in her life, and the president has the authority to fire those who are not aligned with his mission. A new replacement will be announced by either the president or the secretary very soon. And the president and Secretary Kennedy are committed to restoring trust and transparency and credibility to the CDC by ensuring their leadership and their decisions are more public-facing, more accountable, strengthening our public health system, and restoring it to its core mission of protecting Americans from communicable diseases, investing in innovation to prevent, detect, and respond to future threats. That's the mission of the CDC, and we're going to make sure that folks that are in positions of leadership there are aligned with that mission.
And briefly on another topic, alligator Alcatraz. Last week, a judge on an environmental concerns lawsuit said that the administration had 60 days to wind down operations there, state officials did. Now, the administration has not been shy in fighting back against what it calls activist judges, but why is it backing down this time?
We're not backing down. We've always said that we are going to continue to fight in the court of law for what's right, because we know that what this administration is doing with respect to all policy, but also immigration policy, is above the books, and we're abiding by our nation's immigration laws. And we think it's despicable that an activist judge has inserted themselves in this migrant detention facility to the point where DHS is now having to relocate these illegal immigrants to other detention facilities around the country. That is an unnecessary burden on the Department of Homeland Security and these agents who should be removing these criminals from our community. That's what the American people elected this president to do. So we've always maintained, Gabe, we're going to comply with court orders, but we're also going to fight back on them on the merits of the law. And DHS is in compliance while we disagree with this decision, and we'll continue to fight it in court. Let's go to...
Hey,
go ahead.
Thanks so much. So just following up on the CDC firing, are you anticipating other changes there at CDC in addition to that firing? And is the administration going through in a very sort of organized fashion? Is there a task force that's going through high-level appointees to see who is or isn't aligned with the mission? Should we expect more changes?
Not to my knowledge. I understand there were a few other individuals who resigned after the firing of Ms. Monarez. One of those individuals wrote in his departure statement that he identifies pregnant women as pregnant people. So that's not someone who we want in this administration anyway. So if people are not aligned with the president's vision and the secretary's vision to make our country healthy again, then we will gladly show them the door.
Caroline, can I just
Go to the back.
Thank you, Karoline.
Go behind you, Andrew. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Karoline. The military deployment that President Trump has sent to the Caribbean Sea close to the shores with Venezuela is massive. It's much more that is needed to simply counter narcotics operations. Is President Trump considering launching military strikes to military installments or facilities in Venezuelan soil?
I won't get ahead of the president with respect to any military action or questions about that ever. But what I will tell you is that many Caribbean nations and many nations in the region have applauded the administration's counter-drug operations and efforts, and the president is prepared to use every element of American power to stop drugs from flooding into our country and to bring those responsible to justice. And as I've said from this podium before, the Maduro regime is not the legitimate government of Venezuela. It is a narco-terror cartel. Maduro is not a legitimate president. He is a fugitive head of this drug cartel. He has been indicted in the United States for trafficking drugs into our country, and it is the utmost responsibility of this president and this administration to prevent the illicit flow of drugs into our country and to protect citizens from those deadly poisons. Reagan.
Thanks, Caroline. I have two questions for you.
Sure.
Democrats, including former White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, attacked prayer and pushed gun control in the aftermath of yesterday's shooting. What's the White House's response to their comments?
Yes, I saw the comments of them. I think they're incredibly insensitive and disrespectful to the tens of millions of Americans of faith across this country who believe in the power of prayer, who believe that prayer works, and who believe that in a time of mourning like this, when beautiful young children were killed while praying in a church, it's utterly disrespectful to deride the power of prayer in this country, and it's disrespectful to the millions of Americans of faith. And I would encourage Ms. Psaki to pray for these families themselves, who need it right now more than ever.
There have been media outlets who glazed over the fact that the shooter was confused in their gender identity. Does the administration believe that this element needs to be investigated in the shooting?
All of the elements are being investigated in the shooting, absolutely. Which is why, part of the reason the FBI director came out and immediately confirmed that facet of the investigation. John?
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions on two separate issues. First of all, the drone and missile strikes that took place overnight in Ukraine. General Keith Kellogg, the president's special envoy, has described these attacks as egregious. Do you agree with that description, and do you view President Putin as an impediment to getting peace between these two countries?
Well, it's not about if I agree, it's about what the president thinks, and I know what the president thinks because I talked to him about this. He was not happy about this news, but he was also not surprised. These are two countries that have been at war for a very long time. Russia launched this attack on Kyiv, and likewise, Ukraine recently dealt a blow to Russia's oil refineries. They have taken out, as a matter of fact, 20% of Russia's oil refinery capacity over the course of their attacks throughout the month of August. So the president is continuing to watch this intently, and this killing, unfortunately, will continue as long as the war continues, which is why the president wants it to end. And that's why he's worked harder than anyone to end this war, which would have never started if he were president. But perhaps both sides of this war are not ready to end it themselves. The president wants it to end, but the leaders of these two countries need it to end and want it to end, must want it to end as well. And I think the president will make some additional statements on this later.
My second question has to do with, I just had one more, if I may. It has to do with the president's intention to remove Lisa Cook as a member of the Federal Reserve Board. He is going or acting upon allegations that have been made by Trump administration official Bill Pulte. These are just allegations. She hasn't been convicted yet of any crime. Is the administration opposed to allowing Ms. Cook to have due process to challenge what has been alleged against her?
I believe she is challenging it. I believe she just filed a lawsuit today, and Mr. Pulte has deferred those allegations over to the Department of Justice to investigate them. What I will say is that you had these mortgage receipts very clearly shown to the president, and he has the cause that he needs to fire this individual. He laid it out in the letter that he provided to her and to the public as well. And so we'll continue to fight this battle. Carrie.
Caroline, so the president just announced that he wants to have a convention right towards the midterms next year. The DNC has countered that they too want to have a convention right before the midterms as well. What's the White House's response to that? And can you give us a little bit of a hint or a tease here as to how the president envisions a convention and what the midterms?
Look, the president put out a statement on this earlier today. I'll let him speak further on the plans that he envisions, but I think he's very proud of the accomplishments and the achievements of his administration, as he should be. The most secure border in United States history, a crackdown on crime here in our nation's capital, an attack or a reversal of the attack on our energy industry from the previous administration. As I just pointed out to you, gas prices today, this Labor Day, are the lowest they've been since Labor Day in 2020. Our economy is bringing in trillions of dollars in revenue from all over the world again. So there's so much for Republicans and for the president and for Americans across the country to be proud of, and I think the president wants to see that celebrated. But for any further details on this as they come, we'll provide you with them. Iris.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions on the shooting. What's the administration's message to some concerned parents across the country who might be now worried about their kids' safety in light of the latest incident?
We completely and totally understand the concerns of parents across the country. This tragedy it's heartbreaking. As a parent myself, there are no words to describe just the heartbreak that these families must be enduring, which is why the president and the first lady have encouraged everyone to continue to pray for these families and these victims. And it's why this administration is focused on removing public safety threats from our communities. And in fact, I can share with all of you that last night in Washington, D.C., when arrests were being made, there was an arrest of a juvenile right here in D.C. in Ward 7 for threats to kidnap and injure, receiving stolen property, possession of a large capacity feeding device, unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition. A search warrant was executed, 7 firearms were recovered, and the juvenile was arrested after an investigation was initiated based on social media posts allegedly threatening violence towards a school. So this was a juvenile who was a risk to not just himself, but the community here in Washington, and he was removed from the community last night because of the law enforcement efforts of this administration. And I would also point to the statement of our wonderful First Lady that she released yesterday. She wrote, "The tragic mass killing in Minnesota illuminates the need for preemptive intervention in identifying school shooters. Early warning signs are often evident, with many individuals exhibiting concerning behaviors and making violent threats online prior to their actions. We encourage all Americans, as the old saying goes, if you see something, say something. If you see warning signs or threats, report it to law enforcement. This administration, federal law enforcement, will take those reports and those threats seriously. They will be treated as a law enforcement emergency, and we will act accordingly."
And on the First Lady's statement, what the administration has to ramping up resources on these fronts to parents and schools across the country to help them look into these signs and prevent more tragedies?
It's a very fair question, Iris. As for any potential future policy decisions or funding questions, it's just been over 24 hours since this tragedy occurred. Right now we're focused on the FBI and their investigation and uncovering all the facts, and we'll leave those very important policy discussions to another day. Go ahead, Megan.
Hi. I had a question about the Lisa Cook lawsuit that you mentioned. Does the president plan to wait until that lawsuit is resolved to appoint her replacement?
I will leave that to the president to make that decision and that announcement himself. Brian?
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. Bouncing off the CDC, situation at CDC. I'm curious if administration officials are pushing back on the president's agenda, privately, publicly, however, should they fear to lose their jobs going forward?
Look, I think if you're doing your job well, and if you are executing on the vision and the promises that the president made to the public who elected him back to this office, then you should have no fear about your job. Just do your job. That's what this president wants to see. He wants to see people solving problems. He wants to see the people who have the privilege of serving the American taxpayer and the federal government abiding by the wishes of the American taxpayers who overwhelmingly reelected him in this cabinet to make America great again, or in this case, make America healthy again.
On the Intel deal, where the U.S. got a stake in that company, there's two things I want to ask about that. The first is, what did the U.S. get back in return for that deal? And the second thing is, what are the future plans for giving any form of money to another company? It could be through the CHIPS Act, like this deal, or some other form of funds. What are the plans there by this White House administration?
Well, look, as you know, Brian, very well, because you cover it often, the Intel deal is still being ironed out by the Department of Commerce. The T's are still being crossed, the I's are still being dotted. It's very much still under discussion. But the president's thinking, I can share with you, is certainly to ensure that the United States government is making our country wealthy again and is benefiting from some of these deals. And it's a creative solution. I know it's outside the box thinking, which is uncommon in this city, but it's something that he proposed and something that the Secretary of Commerce is working on putting into action. Mary.
Thanks, Caroline. I have a couple questions on the shooting yesterday. The first one, this is the second shooting involving a trans-identifying shooter who specifically targeted Christians and Catholic kids. What kind of consequences do the gender-affirming therapists, doctors, or even the parents of these shooters face after these types of shootings?
Well, as for the parents and potential therapists in this case, again, all of that is still currently being investigated by the FBI. I know the Secretary of Health and Human Services this morning said that HHS is investigating perhaps links between some of these drugs and these prescription drugs that some of these minors may be taking, and an increase in violence. And obviously we have mental health problems in this country that this administration and Secretary Kennedy will continue to speak out about in the work that we're doing to solve it.
Thank you. And just to follow up, I've seen a lot of calls for action, among these lawmakers saying that we should just be praying. One that I've seen on the right actually is calls for the FBI to institute a new class of domestic terrorism that involves trans ideology. Is that something that the administration would support?
I would have to check with the appropriate people on that.
Thank you, Caroline. We saw some new revised economic data come out today showing the U.S. economy moving 3.3% lift, largely buoyed by a surge in capex. What's the White House reaction to this? Is this sort of the president's vision beginning to come to life after the beautiful bill was passed in July?
Yes, look, we did say that once the big beautiful bill was signed into law, we're going to see the effects of this massive pro-growth piece of legislation. As I laid out for you as we head into the Labor Day weekend, there's many positive economic indicators that the American people can be hopeful about. But don't forget, we are reversing 4 years of reckless spending from the previous administration of slamming regulations down the throats of American business owners and consumers across the country. But the administration is working very hard to unravel all of that and to ensure that small business owners and workers are thriving and that they have more money in their own pockets to spend. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Karoline. Back on the CDC, there was reporting that some of the initial problems between RFK and the CDC director stemmed from miscommunications or differences on vaccine policy. So I wonder if you could just say whether or not the president believes that the COVID vaccine should be available to and covered by insurance for all Americans, regardless of age and pre-existing conditions.
What I will tell you is that the FDA recently revoked the emergency use authorizations for 3 COVID vaccinations while simultaneously greenlighting 4 new COVID-19 vaccines with 2025 and 2026 formulas. The reason for the revocation of that emergency use authorization is because obviously the COVID pandemic and the public health emergency is over. But just to correct the record, because there's been a lot of misinformation on this, the FDA's decision does not affect the availability of COVID vaccines for Americans who want them. We believe in individual choice. That's a promise both the president and the secretary have made, and it's a promise they have now delivered on.
Question if I could, Caroline. Question if I could, sorry. I wonder if you could answer why the president hasn't acknowledged the shooting at CDC headquarters that took place earlier in August, where a police officer was killed, and it was reported that the motivation for the shooting was somebody who was really unhappy with the effects of the COVID vaccine.
We absolutely were very much aware of that shooting. The Secretary of Health and Human Services put out a statement immediately. He was in touch with the CDC, and he actually traveled to Georgia to assess the situation and to mourn with the people who work in that building there. So, go ahead.
With respect to Labor Day, one of the most underrepresented groups right now are police officers. 30,000 police officers short in America right now. To Brandon's question, 1,300 short in Chicago, 3,000 short in New York, 500 short here in Washington, D.C. What can the White House, what can the President do to help recruitment of police officers who've done well with the military and Border Patrol? What can be done before police officers on the streets of America?
Well, the president has certainly been very successful in recruiting federal law enforcement. If you look at the ICE recruitment campaign that was led by he and our Secretary of Homeland Security, we've seen more than, I believe, 130,000 applicants to join ICE, which is just amazing. There's more applicants now than there are jobs to fill, and we're very grateful for that. Clearly, Americans want to serve their communities. They just need a leader who encourages them to do so. So maybe Governor Pritzker should spend less time demonizing the police, more time trying to recruit more police, and more time trying to call the President of the United States to get crime in his city under control. The President wants to allow law enforcement, whether it's state, local, federal, to do their jobs, to arrest criminals, to put them behind bars, and to remove public safety threats from American communities. He'll continue to do that. Thank you, guys.
Wow, that was short. I thought it would be longer than that. That was interesting. I thought that the news conference would be longer because even though a lot is going on around the world and our president has his hands in all of it because he's out there trying to bring peace throughout the world. He is working on the behalf of the world. It's almost like he's the world president because it's seemingly that he's the one that's able to speak to even Putin. So Putin is still being aggressive. He's still bombing. Things are still going on. So if he can bring that war to an end and bring Zelensky, Putin, the EU to the table, then that'll be a great accomplishment. But right here in the United States, when I'm listening to Karoline, I'm going to be fair about everything. I'm not going to include, I'm going to put up other videos, even like I want to be both sides. I'm going to show the Democrat side, how they feel. I'm going to show the Republican side, which I do mostly, how Republicans feel. So it's like two sides to a story. And the only way that I believe that we can come to a happy medium if we communicate and we talk. And that's what we're doing in the chat. We can agree to disagree. Nobody agrees with everything. I don't agree. There's no president that's been in office, whether it was President Obama, Biden, Trump, or any president that I agree with all their actions 100%. So I just want to be clear because I know people know that, we stand more red, we vote Republican and all of that. Trump is doing an amazing job, but we are not going to go along with things that we don't agree with. One thing that I don't agree with is that when former Doge personnel had gotten beaten up by young black kids in Washington, it triggered Trump. He sent out the National Guards. He took over DC. He put the FBI on the grounds. He put all these federal agencies, Homeland Security. He did all this from one white guy getting beaten up when thousands of people are beaten up throughout the country every day. But that one white guy that had gotten beaten up, that was like the sky is falling. Even though every city, every state, including the red states, are saying that crime is down. Now, there are states, like 13 states right now, that have a higher crime rate than Chicago, but nobody's sending National Guards to places like that have crime like that. But the blue states are highlighted because they have incompetent leadership. They have black people and mayors or whatever, or government officials that are in office, that instead of implementing what's going to help the communities, like give the programs, because there's a difference in standard of education, and that's a fact. Like people perish for lack of knowledge. Like if you're getting the best of the best, say in a certain community, you have the best teachers, the best equipment, and you have top-notch um, educational tools available to you. Then you go to a low income area, they don't have the books, they don't have the teachers, they don't have the funding. And so when they want to go off to college, they might have carried a 4.0 in their school, but when they go to college, they're a C student because the education isn't equal. Then they said, well, I'm not as smart as I thought I was, but they're just not being taught at the same level. And in order to solve a problem, military is not going to solve. Put in military, weaponizing um, weaponizing these cities with military. Supposedly now they're armed to go after American citizens. They are supposed to be for war. Are we at war?
But hopefully people can see that the treatment is not the same.
It's not equal. It's not equal treatment.
Someone
Go
did
ahead.
a heinous act of killing children.
Children
had on his bullet mag for the children. And the reaction Trump has had to that was not the same as these black guys, black kids beating up this white dude.
It's not equal, and there's some biases there.
Yeah.
Like it's like brush up the side when you have a mass shooter that they're praying. These are children of God.
Children.
They're at mass. They're praying, and the president. There's no breaking news. Even the news coverage is not the same. It should be breaking news. It should be all over the place. What has happened to these children? They are traumatized. Then what about the parents that they said little kids are happy to go to school. Imagine little kids, they're all happy. They got their new lunch boxes. They got their new clothes and they're going to meet new friends. And they're so excited. But they never got to go home. They never got to go home. And you imagine giving that kind of news to a parent that they sent their kids to even a Christian school and their kids were targeted. They were targeted. And the best that the administration can say, they always go, oh, they were trouble. They have mental illness. We're going to look into that. What do we know about the parents? What do we know about Crook's parents? They tried to assassinate the president. How in the hell, because is somebody of their persuasion that we still don't know what was behind even Crook trying to assassinate the president, the former president at that time of the United States, that's currently the president. Corey died from Butler, PA, fireman, and we still don't have answers to that. And every time it's an issue, it's mental health issues when it's them. But I want to say the black community been traumatized, and we have mental health issues as well. And that grace isn't given. We have mental health issues too. But we're not framed like that. The media, when they show a black person, they're deranged. When they show a white person, they even did mass murders, they're shown like a Boy Scout. Yeah. They do a Boy Scout picture. Look how normal. They look normal. So how can you tell who's a criminal or not? Who's the thug? Yeah. Who's the thug?
Like when she was talking about the mass shooting recently, she was talking about mental health, but when she was talking about crime in Chicago, she was talking about just crack down on crime.
Yeah, we'll talk about Chicago, crack down on crime.
Yeah, not mental health.
But not mental health. That's a mental health issue there. There's a lack that even now they're saying that Trump cut a lot of police funding in Chicago. He cut programs. He cut programs even for children that are going through traumatizing situations. But they're not saying all of this. We're going to be fair. And there's crime. Believe it or not, there's crime as well in red states. But black people are the face of DEI, which we don't benefit from. But all the media got to keep saying DEI. You got these paid black people. I'm refraining from calling them what they are. They're paid to promote something that's not even true. Oh, we got to boycott Target. We got to do all these things when it doesn't affect us. Target gave $2 billion to black institutions, culture, programs, and everything, but that's not highlighted in the news.
And Al Sharpton is having a protest.
They're having a protest against the Target. They losing billions of dollars, and they have not been harmful at all towards the black community. But we boycott. They got they people to lead the charge, but we know DEI benefited white women. That's who it benefited, white women. And then the list goes down and get to number 9, then it was black people. That meant we didn't benefit at all. We didn't benefit. And just like the crimes, the news, they're going to show you crimes committed in black states, even though everything is going down, thank God, and nobody's promoting crime. We do not want crime, but crime is around the world. You got to get to the root of issues. You're not going to unless you're going to have every state in the country on lockdown to get rid of crime. We're going to militarize all the states because all the states have crime. And the red states have more crime. And black people do not, believe it or not, we're not the threat. We're not the threat to America. We don't lead in crime, but we're the face of it. As long as we're the face of it, then, you lock up all the black people, now we're all safe. While you got open border people running around this country that we never had before. And it still comes back to us being the face of crime. You're safe if all black people are locked up. And don't rehabilitate our children, but your children can take and do killings, robberies, murders, and they suffer, they're troubled. Give black community the same grace because there are mental health issues as well. There's mental health issues as well. I've been to Washington many times. It's a beautiful, it's a beautiful Capitol. It's a beautiful city to walk around in. I never felt unsafe going to the Capitol, walking around the corridors of the Capitol, going outside the Capitol, having meeting with our leaders, our senators and people in Congress. That's who I'm a legislative director. That's what I do. You look back, I got pictures with Biden, videos with everybody you can think of. I represented a huge number of people, hundreds and thousands at times. I'm an activist. I've done maybe 200 rallies. I speak at conventions. I don't even do that right now because I jump sides. So I don't talk to them right now. I don't talk to them because I believe in what Trump is doing. So I go by who I feel as though that's fit for office. But when I feel like what's happening, I'm not going to turn it back on my community when we need mental health help as well. You want to lock up all the black people, but you gave reparations to open borders, and 14 plus million people came into this country homeless, but we're throwing away our homeless like trash. Nobody's advocating for them. The mayor in DC not advocating. Nobody's advocating. When they bulldozed their encampments, they had nowhere to go. They said all the leaders, the people that's out there, that's what they do for a living. They said there are no beds. They said we're like 2,000 beds short to even have people to come in. They just got rid of their camera because we want it beautiful. And those are vets out there. And those are our American homeless. But we say America first, except if you're homeless. America first, except if you have mental illness and you're a vet. America first, except all these other reasons. If we're America first, then I want to see us being for all of us, not some of us. And I'm going to stand on business. We have to be for all American citizens. I support everyone, regardless of who they are. Nobody, every state, city, whether it's white or black, have murders, crimes, rapes, burglaries, all of the states. All the states have the same issues. But we're highlighting when it's black. I've heard so much, and when I have went for just conventions and conferences, wherever to Chicago, beautiful city.
And White House.
Beautiful. And I'm like, people like when I was going there, but they say, oh, you got to be careful. Don't go. I went there. I'm like, what are they talking about? It was fabulous riding the boats through the city, going into, the harbor and all that. Oh, it's phenomenal.
White House.
I was not afraid.
White House and Trump called this man that murdered children a thug.
Why? Yeah, they called the man a murderer. Why isn't he a thug? He killed children. It's like sympathy. It's always sympathy for the shooter.
They had a hard life.
Sympathy for the shooter. It's always excuse. Don't make excuses for them. They're criminals. They're the worst kind because you can't detect them. You're always looking out for black people. We can detect black people no matter. You can't tell that black young man is a genius, a scholar, a architect, an engineer, but he's going to be labeled. But you can't tell what this so-called supposed to be normalcy. Looking at Americans or whatever. But we don't give grace. We don't give the same grace. And that's what I have a problem with. We got to give grace to all Americans. We can't say we one nation under God. And the only problem is, the news media, CBS, NBC, all those Democratic news media channels, they have not ever provided an anti-hate crime bill. And they had power for 12 of the last 16 years. They have had all three branches of government. They have done nothing because I didn't realize they the ones perpetuate all of this, what's going on in our communities. And now Trump coming in, and he like, look, this has been going on too long, but that's still not the way to handle this. They're too smart for this. All these people in the cabinet, they're brighter than this because this is not a long-term solution, what he's doing. You got to get to the crust of what's going on. You got to go into the communities to find out and give them what they need, which still hasn't been done. They don't do it. Everybody talk about it, but nobody goes in to give the funding and give what they need to get the jump because you got to have boots on the ground. You got to have people in there that know what's going on. So the militarizing and all this after American citizens, and now you want you want to arm our troops like you're fighting a war with the citizens of America. It's like they're supposed to go out and fight. They're supposed to fight against other countries to protect us and keep us safe. Keep us all safe.
Matthew, when you go into a store, do you get looked at multiple times and followed? Because that has even happened to me recently, getting followed in the store and getting like I'm a suspect. He's saying his white privilege card has been denied his whole life.
Well, you know what? You don't know. You know what? You need, it's amazing. Like they had this guy, and I'm going to look for it. I think it was in like 1959 or something. He took he had died, injected into him, went under lights. And he walked around and found out what it was actually like to be black in America. And his experience, he was so traumatized from his 6-week experience. Couldn't handle it. Find out how kind we are, how loving, how giving. In spite of everything that's being done to us, we still have love because we're children of God. We love. We're not what they try to make it out. They take a handful of people, and those are the poster children. But when we see all the stuff on the news, President Trump did not show himself when that CDC, when that killer, when he went and killed that police officer and went in there to kill people and all of that, you can hear pin drop. Nothing. He didn't make a comment, no breaking news. But when the Doge guy gets beaten up, the sky is falling. But the people that's committing crimes of the same persuasion, there's no news. Like, you would think all those children, there's no news comment, no breaking news, no statement, outward statement to the public. But every meeting, he's talking about, oh, we got to get these thugs, labeling black people as thugs from the highest office. That's how What the president thinks is how it trickles down to the rest of the country and the rest of the world. And it's not right, because we're not thugs. We're American citizens, and we love our country just like you do. And we support our president just like you do. And right now, it's like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. I want more of the Black community to vote actually Republican. But I don't think this is a good selling point at all, because my whole selling point was that Trump didn't do the 1994 crime bill that caused mass incarceration of Black people, but now Trump administration is going after even our children. That they need farmers, they need to enslave people, they need to put them on farms because they want to get rid of the Hispanic farm workers. What better to do? Go into all these inner cities, get the Black kids. He said, put them away for a long time. Don't rehabilitate, because they're beyond rehabilitation. But all the other killers that are different persuasion, they can be rehabilitated. But even in Washington, what's being arrested are not murderers, is everyday citizens they're arresting for misdemeanors. They are literally harassing everyday citizens. If I was there, I would be petrified for my son to walk around in that city and be able to come home without being harassed or arrested.
Yeah, and
because of the color of his skin.
It's swept under.
And I'm telling you the honest to God truth. I would be scared to be there.
It's swept under the rug about the crime that they commit. It's just like Black people
it's just
are
swept
as the criminals.
It's just swept.
But not all the disturbing stuff that they commit also. And when we looked up the numbers, you saw how many crimes they commit with the other races. That it's even more that they're committing than the Black
community, but it's not highlighted.
Yeah,
it's what but that I can say that's the Democratic media. They did this. This is what they highlighted. And they trying to say they for the people, they for the Black community. They have done more harm to the Black community than anyone. It was not the Republicans. It hasn't been the Republicans. It's been the Democrats. The Democrats tried to block the Civil Rights Bill, 70 days trying to filibuster. It was the Democrats that started KKK. It was the Democrats behind Jim Crow.
Joe Biden.
It was the Democrats that was the author of the 1994 crime bill, and the Democratic President Clinton has signed it into law and even added extra to it.
Hey, Joe Biden went to a KKK.
Yeah, he did a eulogy for the Grand Wizard of the KKK, Joe Biden, former President Joe Biden. So I didn't know all of this when I was campaigning, canvassing, giving speeches at the conventions, at the DNC, and on the floor, and I was all in it. And mind you, it was spectacular. But I didn't know. And then I had to find out they were the wolves in sheep clothing. But now Trump is doing this from the one guy getting beaten up when all these mass shootings are going on, and it's happening in red states as well. So what are you going to do? Every state? We have to have solutions to mental illness. It's in every community. Every community. Every community. Mental illness, trouble people, and trouble upbringing. They would say that they had trouble upbringing. They had trouble in it. So the same is in Black communities. And it can be solved. And you do have people solving these issues, but that's being swept under the rug that they have. Like even in Baltimore, the 62% crime rate has decreased. But when they go in, it's to attack us. And now you want them armed. But we're going to get us off the street while we got 350 terrorists running around the country. So we have been detoured from a bigger issue and back on Black people.
Yeah, Frederick, but what we're saying is that word is only used for when a Black person commits a crime.
Yeah.
Not when a white, Spanish, Asian, a Middle Eastern commits a crime. Just when Black people commit a crime, then they're labeled.
And all ethnicities commit crimes, but we're highlighted, and we're not even committing it at a higher rate. So we're just saying, have that grace for all communities. All communities have mental illness. If we could do it for all these mass murderers, and they're looked upon, and they brushed over it. She brushed over it. The guy was like, well, how come President Trump never said anything about that CDC killer that killed the cop and all that? Brushed right over it. Give the same grace. Don't brush. That was a life taken. That was a whole, not beaten up. That was a life taken. This guy that went in there and shot those babies, God's children, and they, out of all places, they weren't even safe in church. And they still got a violin for that guy. we're going to see what was going on, or what mental health did he have. Who cares? He was a demon. He was a criminal. He was evil. He was wicked. He was working for the devil. God darn.
He even had a picture he drew of looking in the mirror, and it was a demon.
My son said he even had a picture. He even had
on
on his
journal.
on his journal a picture of him looking in the mirror like a demon.
And it said, yeah.
Come on, y'all. We're gonna be real. I cannot sugarcoat it for anyone. This is real.
Dude was sick.
And they brushing it. You know, all those, I wouldn't send my child back to that school. They're not safe. There's no way I would send my child back to that school. Because you can't identify crazy. You can't identify mental illness of that persuasion. They will be homeschooled from that day forward, because it's not safe to go to school. It's not safe to go to market. It's not safe to go to Target. It's not safe to go to CDC. It's not safe to go to a club. It's not safe to go anywhere. The movies. So, but they wouldn't be going to that school. Not after that. That's too traumatic. I would be so concerned every day, because you'll be thinking that couldn't possibly happen again. And guess what? Some other lunatic come along, and guess what? It can happen again. It can happen again. I think that's the second time that has happened. I think that's the second. Yeah, I think, you guys, that's the second time that has happened. I think it happened a couple of years ago in the same state or whatever. But this is like, it can happen again. And I don't know what they can do about it, but it's crime in every state, and we need solutions. And we got mental illness, obviously, around this country, and Black people suffer from mental illness as well. And Black people need the support of the government that somehow has dodged us for years, that cannot get the resources in the communities. But the Democrats can open up the border and allow 14 million homeless people come in, provide housing, luxury apartments, EBT cards, college education, health care, Social Security, provide everything. And we can't get programs still today and put them in our communities and give our taxpayer dollars and resources to them. Isn't that a slap in the face? And then they tell us nothing for you, nothing for you, nothing for you. While you spending my damn tax dollars.
Judge Jeannie trying to go after the children.
Trying to go after the children. You can't have the children. I will fight you tooth and nail off of that. You know, you're not going to do that to the children. You want to lock them up so they can work your farms. That's not going to happen. We're gonna fight that. It's a game plan that's in motion. There's reasons for all of this. And long as they have Black people going along with it, Black organizations, just like the 1994 crime bill, the NAACP supported it, Congressional Congress support. They have all these people that come out and support it. Oh yeah, we're gonna be safer, but we got a whole new United States now after them open borders. This is not the same country. Y'all better get the memo. It's not the same country. When they start acting up, y'all gonna see who really here. This is not the same country after the open borders. And they watching the president go after us while they walking around. They walking around. They walking around planning they little, you know, whatever they planning to do.
Then just like how he went the opposite with this demon compared to black people, like in Chicago. It's just like how he let the South Africans in, but not doing the same for other, like Haitians.
Yeah, and they really going through. They really do need asylum, because they really do have terrorists running their country. They really do have problems there, and they just don't throw them back there. So there's a lot of balances, and like this is talking that we have a country full of people that need mental health, that have mental health problems. And we need to stop stereotyping Black people, because we're educated. This is not the 1960s. We're not all living impoverished and lacking education. That's a lie. And I don't know why they keep perpetuating that on the news. They keep highlighting the same problems, and nobody's going in, giving the support. All that damn money that they have, give it to the communities and give them the tools they need. So, because it's you have to stop. You have to go to the root of the problems, the root of the problems, if you really want to solve them. But nobody's want to solve them. You have to go to the root of problems. That's the only way you're going to get rid of crime. Even what Trump is doing now is temporary. You got to go to the root of the problems. You have, if you're a leader, you're supposed to be a problem solver. If you can solve problems and wars, and you don't want them people in Ukraine and Russia being killed and all that, then you can solve stuff here.
And we're not gonna agree with Trump on everything. Just
No,
like
no.
we didn't agree. We're not the typical political YouTuber. Just like we didn't agree with him and JD Vance having that guy that murdered the Michael Jackson impersonator. Didn't agree with that at all.
You know, so we can, you know, the whole thing is that we can agree to disagree, and we like to talk and like you guys to have your viewpoints, and that's what America is all about. And the only way that things can become better, and there could be a change, and we can actually be America first. America means all of us. It can't just be a segment of people. It has to be all of us. We're not just saying USA, USA, like we're not USA. We're proud to be American. That's something we should be proud to be. We are the best country in the world, and our leadership is at the top of the food chain. But that doesn't mean that we agree with everything. And I'm not going to do that, because then I would be a hypocrite if I go along with everything just to go along to get along, go along. And that's how things perpetuate, and that's how things continue, is when people don't speak up. When you don't speak up, and because it's not personally affecting you, then, you know, you're quiet about it until it knocks at your door. So anyway, I'm going to do a whole thing on it. I am going to upload. Elijah's going to start doing something called Elijah's Truth or whatever with all the young people and everything. But I am going to do one looking at the, like, our side pretty much, and the Democratic side, how they feel and how they're seeing it. Because Trump is the president of all Americans. It's not just MAGA. It's not just Republicans. When he was elected into that office, he's the president of all of us. And he's supposed to represent all of us and not demonize some of us that are Americans. We got a lot of work to do in this country. He's only been in office 7 months, and he hasn't even tipped the iceberg of what's heading his way, because those borders has given us a serious problem in this country, a serious problem. And I think that we're focused on the wrong things right now.
Before
you know, we
illegal,
do all this, but we don't do this over mass murderers. It's just unimaginable.
Before the illegal immigrants was the focus, but now it's like it shifted back to black people being the focus. We're the bad guys and the big bad wolves.
And they could tear up cities and throw stuff. We would never kick cops in in the head, and they're gonna release us in an hour. And all that, we'd be dead on arrival. We could never do what they have done. But they have anti-hate crime bill that we don't have. They can't touch them in those sanctuaries. They can't touch them.
Then they put you in a spot like as a black person, you support the Democrats or Republicans, but the Democrats have done so many things to black people.
It's like, damn, we can't win. We like in the middle. But I know one thing, moving forward, 2028, the parties are going to have to earn our votes.
Would you vote for JD Vance?
I don't know who I'm going to vote for, but they're going to have to earn my vote. If they're going to continue not doing anything for my communities and just making like just overlooking the challenges that have faced our communities. You can't trying to remove history doesn't remove truth. Trying to remove history doesn't remove facts. So I don't even know why Trump is trying to do that. Just leave it alone. You want to put up a Confederate statue? Okay, that represents part of history. You can't remove that because we know what happened. And it's so much around the world information what happened that you'll never be able to erase. So that's just out and out wrong to try to paint a different picture than what the truth is. And we don't want history to repeat. That's why history is great. Just like this 1994 crime bill, I see it repeating itself because most people, like I didn't know, the effects of the 1994 crime bill would cause most of our heads of households to be incarcerated over minor offenses.
Like this country was always sunshine and rainbows.
You know, but hey, but that's for another subject. Thanks you guys for joining us. Thank you, moderators. I know this is deep.
Someone said, they said, oh, is this the same lady that supported and supports Donald Trump? No, you're not in the middle, lady. We all know where you stand.
Yes, I do support Trump.
Yeah, me too.
I support Trump.
Yeah.
And that's not changing. See, as an adult, and if you are adult, and if you ever had a wife, husband, kids, or a job, do you think that your boss is right about everything? Do you think your husband or wife is right about everything? Do you think that when you have a disagreement with someone that they're right about everything? Nobody is about everything. The only perfect person was Jesus. So what I believe, and I think he's the best president for the job at a time like this. There was the Democratic Party still doesn't have a leader. I don't believe, and when I voted, it wasn't as much for Trump as it was for what I believe in God. God, I'm not for abortion, same-sex marriages, men and women's sports, boys and girls bathrooms, transgenders, mutilating children, a party that can't define what a woman is, and the list goes on and on and on. Open borders. That was like hands down, like, oh hell no. No, we needed Trump. We actually need Trump. But I don't want Trump going after American citizens. It's a better way. The administration he has, they like the Avengers. It's a better way to handle things than to send the military on American citizens. Arm National Guards on American citizens, but you didn't do that for the illegal immigrants. They weren't armed.
Yeah.
This is a whole different ball game. And then want to give the impression that you're only safe if black people are locked up. They talking about females, women, children, and boys and men. They don't want to differentiate even between gender or age or anything.
That's not.
They want to just, and then you're supposed to be safe, and half the white people, they have more black than black people, and they participate in the black community. They married to black people.
Tanner Tate, do you know all the violent crime that white people commit, such as school shootings, mass shootings, murders, and rape? You could actually look it up for yourself.
Well, go to FBI.
Yeah, he's saying focus on our community's violent crimes.
Yeah, focus on your community
That's
violent crimes because
saying.
it's a higher rate.
Yeah,
it's a higher rate. But they don't, even when it's mass shooting, the only time it's highlighted is the mass shootings, but not the everyday murders and burglaries and rapes and everything when it's higher numbers. And even that is swept under the rug. Like nobody's saying anything. Nobody says anything. And it continues and it continues and it continues. It's almost like twice a month. It just continues. But then that's a mental health.
You'll be shocked if you see the statistics of the thugs.
They need to look at the statistics. You can fact check it. Look at the statistics. That's all. But I never was like that. I didn't either. So I'm not blaming you. I didn't know. You know, I was believing the news too. I'd have been like rah unless I knew history. And so what happened with the 1994 crime bill, history is trying to repeat itself. The same playbook is being used.
Now Tanner said, that's correct. And I will worry about that and affect the change I can within my community, period. But when you know a black person is 14 times more likely to commit a violent crime, that's the problem.
That's a lie from hell. And see, where did you get that statistic from? That's a lie from hell. No, black people are arrested 5 times more. It's not for violent crime. They're arrested 5 times more. We're in prison 5 times more. We're charged 5 times more. But we're not committing the most crimes 5 times more. So that's the media that's telling you that. And that needs to change. Because that's a lie from hell. Yeah. We've been made to be the boogeyman or whatever. We didn't do the things. You want me to go through history for real? Who the real threat and terrorists are in this freaking country? Who the real thugs are in this country? Do you really want to go there? Do you really want to go there? We're gonna be for real. Now I'm trying to be nice as I can, but we could call out the real thugs and the real terrorists and the real people have done more harm to people in this country than anyone else.
Multiple races.
Multiple races. If you want to go who the real threats are, who the real thugs are, who the real dangers are, the people that's controlling everything. You really want to go there. And whether it's Democrat or Republicans, the Democrats feel the same way when it comes to black. They the same. They the same. Matter of fact, they were worse than the Republicans, actually. The Republicans didn't do all this. Trump is like kind of steering a little differently, but the Republicans weren't doing all this. So we want to talk about statistics and who's the real threat to America and who the real thugs and we didn't put ourselves in 37 trillion out there. It wasn't black people. Now we could go down the list about who the real dangerous people are. So we're not going to start doing that. And it's best to go to ground news that show you liberal, show you Republicans, Democrats stance, and go to Chat GPT, go to FBI websites, go and do your own freaking research and get real numbers and stop listening to these biased media programs. They did the same thing with Trump, calling him, making him a felon. They call he's a thug. They call him they said he the thug president. He a felon. He's a criminal.
Now I'm seeing no comment from him.
You know, so that's what they said even about him. You would think he would have more grace because he could be in jail right now. He's actually convicted criminal. So how you going to talk about other people when you've been obviously rehabilitated? You're the president of the United States now. So we're not going to play these games. We are not going to do it. We're going to be staying together because we're going to need to. Because when those people that came in, the real threats, when they start showing their ass, because they've been plotting and planning for the last 3 or 4 years, and they here. Then you're going to be looking for, where the black people, we need it. Yeah. Just wait. Just give it a minute. Just give it a minute. It took how many people for the Twin World Trade Centers? We let 19 got into our country. I think it was 19, and they took down the Trade World Centers. They tried to take down the Pentagon. And we had Chinese fly a balloon over our country when Biden was in office, getting all that intel that was sent back to them. Y'all just hold on a minute. Just give it a minute while we fighting against other Americans.
Oh, he got nothing to say.
Okay, so anyway, I'm going to do a story on it. The Democratic side and the Republican side. Okay? What's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. But we're going to stop the lies. The lies are done. They're done. Everybody need to own up to they thug life in this country, if that's the case.
Tanner, but what you're doing right now, you're totally brushing over and excusing all the crime that white people commit.
Like everything?
Yeah, you're excusing that. We're looking at both sides, and you're
Don't
just
worry,
ignoring it.
I'm gonna do because it's not no one-sided, and they don't highlight the red states that have more crime. They don't highlight red states with red governors, and red mayors, all of that. That's not highlighted. It works. None of our states are crime proof. Just in case y'all don't know. Stop comparing different states to other parts of the world compared to the states that are in this country.
Different countries.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like it's breezy and nothing's going on if you live, say in Kansas. Oh, yes, it is. They got a very high crime rate. So we're gonna look at all of us, everyone. And like I said, black people have mental health issues as well. Did y'all ever think of that? Black people traumatized going out the door. And police supposed to be the serve, but we don't get the same service. You lucky you make it out alive just trying to call for help. Especially somebody of a different ethnicity, they the criminal, they the ones doing something, but they gonna come and handcuff you first. Those are realities. Those are everyday realities. Then they find out, oh no, you're arresting the wrong person. That was the person trying to help, the black person. Because we always trying to help. But anyway, I've been on here too long. I want to put another live up. He got to start college and we got to go to his school. And I have to get out of here. But I'm going to look for the upload, look for the next live, because these are conversations that we're going to speak to Truth 2.0. We're going to dive into this. And we're going to bring some of you guys on. Elijah's going to do his own Truth Corner or whatever. And so that we can have the conversation.
Now Tanner's saying that he has black kids.
Of course you do. Well, you ought to be concerned. Yeah. Because we live in, our area, like our neighbor, got black kids. And they have to go, they're going to have to go through when their child, he's like coming of age and stuff, that he's going to have a different light shine on him. You might have a white father, but when you're not with that child, people don't understand that our families are blended now. They're so blended that you can't tell who somebody's married to. We're blended in this country. We're blended. You think I'm light for nothing? Yeah. We're blended in this country. And people don't understand that. But when people recognize you because you have beautiful melanin in your skin or whatever, that they're trying to be back in the 1800s or the early 1900s, when that's not the case. But every black person, no matter what successes we have, are put in the same category. And that's wrong. No matter what kind of scholar we are, how many degrees, PhDs, businesses, we're multi-millionaires, we're multi-billionaires. We have so many successes. We pump $1 trillion into this economy. We pour into every economy. So if they gave us reparations, everybody be doing well, because we pour into everybody's community, not just our own.
Yeah, Tanner, you're clearly lying about it, or you just really don't get it. He said, my children will not put themselves in these situations because it all starts at home. You and I know this.
You know what? You are delusional. They could be minding their own business. Say that to Amir Rice playing in the park, little boy. Say that to Elijah McCain walking down the street from the store. Just walk goofy. They don't even recognize when a child is just goofy and nerdy. You're just black. They don't recognize you educated, you come from a good home. You're just black. When they look at your children, you're delusional when you're not with them. And they're the guy. You don't have to do any. That's one thing that Caucasians sometimes don't. You don't have. It's not that you have to do anything.
Well, I'm gonna say
anything.
I'm gonna say if you.
Now I never have a problem with cops, so I'm glad they good with me. So even but
they bothered me. Well,
yeah, I've been speeding by them. Say, oh, sorry, officer, I didn't know speed limit. Okay, don't do it next time.
I'll say if you are a parent of a black child, you're gonna be an atrocious parent. Is what I'll say.
Yeah, you can't be delusional. It's not about not being the parent. People that are being arrested in Washington. They're not wanted people. They're not criminals. The criminals have already been arrested if they murdered someone. The people that they're harassing are everyday citizens, and they're being arrested with misdemeanors because they're probably objecting to what's going on. They're not arresting criminals. They are harassing citizens. The criminals are in jail. The ones that had committed murder. The ones that they're getting now, they're looking. People sitting on their steps and they trying to arrest them. People just trying to go to work, they trying to arrest them. People just trying to go to school, they're arresting them. They need body counts. See, y'all understand? It's all about the numbers. You got to get, crime is done, the body counts. And they got a weak mayor, she weak. Mayor Bowser, he done took over your whole freaking, what was the point of you being elected? You're not even running anything.
Yeah, and sometimes you get the good cops, sometimes you get the bad cops.
Yeah, it's good and bad.
Mad respect.
Yeah, it's good and bad.
It's good and bad.
Yeah, it's good and bad in everything. You have good cops. There's more good cops than bad cops, but it's the bad cops they need to get rid of. They get, like you say, black people. Cops have a bad rap because of the bad cops. The ones that were bullied in school and they get a badge and then they scared of everything. They want to shoot then you could shoot a black person and get away with it. And that's been a model in the United States of America, and not committing a crime. A lot of black people that's been shot were not committing a crime. They've been in a car, they've been in a house sleeping in the bed, they've been playing video games with their nephews.
Dude, how about you come to this country legally and not illegally? You know you could come legally, right? You sound stupid. And I don't usually get hyped like this, but you sound really stupid, dude. You're the goofy one.
Yeah, it's a process. Go through the process because ICE is going to find you. Apply for citizenship.
He said Latinos just sitting on their steps, going to work at school, going to their court meetings to legalize. Come on, you goofy. You deserve what you're getting.
Well, anyway, you're going to eat those words because that's right back at you. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. Every tongue rise up in judgment thou shalt condemn. See, the people that have the most bark and all that is because you're afraid, because it's coming your way. You're afraid. And those stereotypes are done. They're done. There's problems in every community, and that's a fact. And all the states have the same problems. And it looked like most of them are bringing down the crime rates. We're only supposed to believe Trump crime rates, but red states, and we're not going to believe anyone else. Because they plaster a black face. When they show black people, they want to show you the criminal. But when they have to show the mass murders, then we get to see the real criminals. But then they got the most high school photo, not deranged, and then they trouble, and they always got mental illness. Always got mental illness. But the ones out there committing all the murders every day, you don't see them plastered. They not plastered like they do black people. But they know they like black people in, say, Chicago. They could have ended that a long time ago. They know what they need to do. But they won't put the resources in them. But in Chicago, they spend $2 billion on illegal immigrants. But nothing in the black community. Ooh, come on now. That's reality. That's what's going on. So anyway, I gotta jump off of here. I got stuff to do. And we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to dive in. We're going to be breaking it down. We're going to look at different perspectives because we just want what's right for all of us, not some of us, all of us. And we can't come together as Americans unless we can talk about it and resolve our issues and put the truth out there.
Well, Bearman, you're the one lying because there's a process of becoming legal, and they have to finish the process to become legal. You saying that they're legal, but their court dates got canceled. That means they're not legal yet.
They're not legal.
You sound stupid too.
Yeah, you gotta apply for that certificate of you're only legal when you get that certificate of naturalization. Because I know how to do passports and all that. That's the only time you become legal. You gotta have that certificate of naturalization. That's when you become a legal American citizen if you're not born here in this country. So anyway, you guys, I got to jump off of this. Thank you, moderators. Thank you, Ozzy, Mr. Buki. Thanks, everyone, for being on here. I know this is tough. I know everybody don't want to hear this. I know this is difficult, but we got to put the truth. And we're not going to go along with a lie. And like I said, there's mental illness in every community. Every community, but the same grace is not given when it comes to the black community. And I'm tired of the stereotypes because those are old stereotypes. And the news have done a good job, just like how they did with Trump. 93% of the press when Trump, I believe all the stuff last election, I think when he ran in 2016, I believed everything about him. I believed in 2020 when he ran, I believed all they had to say about him. That he was a dictator, he was Hitler, all of that, because the news painted him through the whole election as Hitler, like he was the boogeyman, he was all this. They did the same thing with Trump, is what they do to black people every day. And that's why black men voted for him, because they felt as though that now he experienced what they go throughout the judiciary system. That he got to see how they can accuse him, trump up charges, give him 34 counts, give him a record, and make him a felon. And they could have put him in jail, and they were trying to take his assets.
He still don't get it.
And then he come around and look at him. He been, I guess, rehabilitated, but he's not even seeing the same. But that shows you, and that's what they do with black people. 93% of the news is against stereotyping black people. The same thing they did to Trump. Same thing. Not they all the news about Trump. ABC, CBS, NBC, Meet the Press, all of them. Negative, 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 negative. Like he was the worst thing. Don't let him. He friends with Putin. Don't let him get into office. The same thing. And if we believed all of that about him, he would not be president today because it took all of us to put him into office. He couldn't do it just the white community. He needed the blacks, the Hispanics, the Asians, the Jews, the everyone you could think of. All of us, the indigenous, everyone, we all voted for this man. And that's why he's sitting in that seat. So that's why I say he needs to have grace all the way around. Because he went through this system and he knows how it can work against you. Because he experienced it. And what they keep doing with black people, they got to stop, including him. He can't do that.
Well, dude, you're just making up stuff. You
Okay,
can't
but I
just
gotta
come
get
to
off.
this country legally, and you gotta follow the process to be legal.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't make all these excuses like, oh, they get arrested and deported.
Well, the point of it is that don't get arrested. Take Trump $1,000 that he want to give you and that plane ticket, fly out. And then you'll be first in line to be able to come back in and get your citizenship the right way.
You're saying they claim asylum and get arrested.
So take, just go back home. Go back home. Take that $1,000 that he gonna give you and that free ticket and apply for citizenship. And if you don't have any type of crimes on or have any type of record, he said that you'll be one of the first people in line to be able to come back. Then do it that way. Do it that way. That's the right way. So anyway, that's all I have for you guys. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, moderators. Want to say thank you to our members. We have Kevin, we have Chef Chevy, Debbie P, Debbie Gotsey. Who else do we have? Oh, Jeremy Stick. I know I'm forgetting someone. Well, anyway, thank you to all the members. Y'all know who you are. Think about becoming a member of Speak the Truth 2.0. Y'all stay blessed. And I know this is hard. I know it's hard, but it's necessary. And it's necessary. Because times are going to get rougher than what they are right now. And more difficult. And we're going to need to stand together as one nation under God. And we don't need to have to come together because something tragically happens in this country to bring us together. We need to come together on our own free will. And I expect our leaders to be the leaders in making that so. They the ones should be saying what I'm saying. That's what they should be doing. They shouldn't villainize a certain group of people unjustly forever.
I think part of the Trump administration needs more black people.
Yeah.
That's a weird font.
But it's okay. But I don't care what you think, whether you agree, disagree. I really don't care. I don't care. But you know the truth when you hear it. And you could take it and
Matthew, I actually was the Republican first.
Oh yeah, I was not. I was totally straight down ballot Democrat all the way. I campaigned. I was knee deep in it. Yeah, I was the total Democrat as usual. Black people Democrat. Yeah, straight down ballot. Don't look at policies. Oh yeah, that's who I am. This time go around, no, vote for Trump, and I would never vote for a party that's going against the word of God, period. I'm not doing it. But I want to vote for a party that's going to support my community and not continue to stereotype us and find a way to suppress us, continue to suppress us and keep on lying when we contribute so much to this country, and make it like all of us are like that. And that's not right. And then we just brush over real criminals, the real criminals. So anyway, you guys, thanks for coming on. I want to come back on because I've been telling my son I want to do the Democrat side, get their issues and out, have the conversation about them, what we like, don't like about what's going on in a party and their stance on this National Guard situation and what they have to say. And then on our side, like what we believe in, what we agree with, and all that, and then bring the conversations together. And hopefully, maybe we could bring a couple of people on that we can, I might invite people that we can have conversations, as long as they can speak in a clear, concise manner and they're not emotional and sensitive. Then those are the people I'm looking for, not people that's all in their feelings and they can't handle conversation. Because
Ben said, you're doing a good thing. That's how you solve problems. We have to talk about it and see what we can do. Exactly.
Thank you, Jesus. That's it. That's what a leader is. I've always been be a problem. Leaders are supposed to be problem solvers.
Susie, you don't think you're the one that wants attention saying that comment?
Thank you for that. But we're going to end on that note, because either you can't, even Jesus couldn't convince everybody he was God. So, you're not going to convince everybody, but we're not here to do that. Keep your ways, keep your beliefs, until Jesus come back. That's your prerogative. We're just saying, how we feel. And like I said, want to have people come on because I want to continue the conversations. And I want people that can speak clearly and factually and can keep it like this, keep it like this.
Tanner, it just seems like you discriminate about Black people because you're still trying to pin all crime on Black people and haven't said one thing, atrocious thing that a white person has done. I mean, there's been a lot.
Well, I'll come back and I'll have the statistics. Look at the Mayor Bowser video that I did. If you go back a few videos, I had the FBI statistics up there showing who commits the crime, the most crimes, the violent crimes, and then that's the FBI, and this is their data. And then, maybe you could just look at ChatGPT and stuff and see how the system, how it unjustly arrests Black people 5 times more. These are facts. Just do a tiny bit of research. Just a tiny bit.
And
that's it.
Don't get us wrong. Like, some of our best friends are white.
It sounds like when they say my best friends are Black. How you say that that?
I want to say my white ex-girlfriend.
Okay, but that doesn't matter. So anyway, this is about, I'm about to mug him. It's a learning moment. So anyway, you guys, y'all stay blessed. Y'all take care. Do your own research. Research is free. And then we're living in a time now, so if you can find out everything quickly, just do your own research. That's all. You don't have to believe anything that we're saying, but we can talk about Black people because that's who we are. We're living the dream. We know. So you can't tell us how to be Black. That's for sure. You could tell us how you think was being told to you, just like they did Trump. And I believed it because the media said so. And that's why y'all believe what the media says. That's what the media says. But we got to rise above that. But anyway, you guys, y'all stay blessed. Take care. I've been on here way too long. And y'all have a great day. And I'm trying to jump back on here. I've been wanting to do this story for a while. I don't like doing the long videos. And I got to tell people that our content is great. They need to, after they listen to Trump or the press secretary, get to our content. Because that's where the real conversations are going on. So just tell people about it. Y'all can leave us a comment. We do read them. We will answer you. And God bless you. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
To the next live. Hopefully I'll get back on here today because I really been wanting to do this story for a while. God bless.